thing you always get with BBC4, you'll always get a point of view about the arts, about the music world, about culture. We mix that with new ideas, we blend it with new people presenting our shows. When you combine that together with the sort of strong track record we have on performance in music, in theatre and in cinema, what you get is the premier arts, music and culture channel.
I never saw myself working in a place like this.
We like to get the most interesting person to go and look and appraise a subject matter in a renewed way. So let's take Mark Gatiss, who is well known for his writing, say, of Doctor Who and League of Gentlemen. He has a particular interest in the story of horror films.
Psycho casts a long shadow over American horror cinema, and not just because of its shocking set pieces. Its commercial and critical success gave filmmakers permission to break the established rules of storytelling. Psycho promised to make the cinema a far more dangerous place, where anything could happen.
We've got a particularly rich mix of the visual arts with things like Art of Cornwall, presented by Dr. James Fox from Cambridge University. A fantastic programme which explores a very interesting slice of British visual arts history. He's always somebody who applies a new lens to the subject matter. You get to understand it better.
When we think of modernism, we think of Paris and New York. But the artists who lived and worked here are an integral part of that story. They abstracted this Cornish landscape. They turned space and rhythm into sculpture. They turned its light and warmth into paint.
With all portraits, there's this illusion, sometimes only lasts for half a second, that what you're looking at is a real person before that person reverts to an image. With self-portraits, the claim goes further because the two are one and the same. The artist is the picture.
There's also a wonderful three-parter from Andrew Graham Dixon looking at the art of Germany.
You've got the great drama of the Last Supper. There's Jesus Christ blessing the bread and the wine. Now, why should Judas be right in the middle of the scene? Normally, he's on the edge. In order to explain it, we've got to do a double take and come back in again, but this time imagining that we're an early 16th century German.
Gropius's ideas have passed from the radical into the mainstream. And this is the thing about the Bauhaus, its ideas establish what we think of as architecture and design.
These houses had hot water and central heating, which was a very big deal in the 1930s. But as Gropius himself said, today's luxuries are tomorrow's norms.
He didn't get everything right. In the process, Gropius invented the art student. So thanks for that, mate.
We'll be looking at fantastic icons of books to give you context, to give you the tools to understand.
We talk about people losing their bearings and having the ground pulled from under their feet. That's what's happened with Odysseus, and I think to understand that might be the key to understanding his character. Yes, he can be heroic. He also seems like a born liar. It makes me think that the real mystery of this book and the real excitement isn't whether or not we're going to find out if he gets home. It's whether we're going to find out who this man is.
One of the most fascinating things is Billy Ivory's attempts to reunite D.X. Lawrence's The Rainbow and Women in Love into a single two-piece drama with Rosamund Pike leading. A fantastically ambitious project.
Kiss me.
What?
Kiss me. Stop it! Why would you do that, of all things?
You cannot have two kinds of love.
Show me something else. Something better!
You're magnificent.
When shall we three meet again?
Later on this year, we'll be featuring classic drama, Patrick Stewart taking the lead role in Macbeth. It's a fantastic reinterpretation set very much in the modern world.
Which of you have done this? Thou canst not say I did it! Never shake thy gory locks at me!
You were meant to be here an hour ago.
I know, I told Bill. I said, I've done it quicker on a tandem. I'll just sit over here, shall I? Sorry, what's the part?
Oh. Elsie Tanner.
Right, thank you.
Coronation Street, A Star is Born, is the story of how Tony Warren rewrote all the rules of how you did drama on television. It's a soap opera, it's set in the North, working class voice. This film is a brilliant and wonderful celebration of that moment.
I've got a voice that needs to be heard, and if Mr. Elton doesn't snap me up, somebody else will.
You've also got a voice that carries through walls.
I'm trying to work in here.
Mr. Elton, I'm Tony Warren. I'm a writer, I'm northern, and I'm ready to be nurtured.
Once a week we'd all go somewhere like the Shakespeare Theatre of Varieties. That marvellous, lovely, darkened room you go in, and then on the stage would come these wonderful people.
Can you remember some of the actors?
Yeah. Marvellous people who made you laugh, people who sang, people who juggled, all sorts of marvellous, wonderful people.
During the course of 2011, BBC4 will be exploring the notion of justice. Michael Sandel, probably the world's greatest moral philosopher on justice, is delivering 8 of his fabulous lectures from Harvard University and also doing a piece on justice through the ages. And there's a series of other programs across the year.
Suppose you're the driver of a trolley car, and your trolley car is hurtling down the track, and at the end of the track you notice 5 workers. Your brakes don't work. But if you crash into these 5 workers, they will all die. There is a side track, and at the end of that track, there's 1 worker. So you can turn the trolley car, killing the 1, but sparing the 5. What's the right thing to do?
There's a major piece from Michael Wood, a new examination of the story of the English. In one village, all the villagers get together and start to examine their history. Their history is our history.
1266 is just after a period of profound shaking in the whole of the English polity, in which Simon de Montfort had seized power from the king and carried through gigantic reforms of the realm.
That includes the peasants of places like Kibworth.
Absolutely right. There's 2 wonderful films, one with Elgar and one about Chopin, looking at 2 great composers of the 19th and early 20th centuries.
He was fascinated by any woman who could really sing.
There are many evidences that he loved opera and he loved singing.
Women singing, can I be so coarse as to say, turned him on?
The music seems to me to suggest the sort of fractured, troublesome visionary who was up one minute, down the next.
So much of his music is quite intensely private.
I really feel that, amongst other things, composing was something of a therapy for him.
There's also wonderful pieces of dance. We've got a 3-part series observing the English National Ballet.
It's a very unique model, what we do. We take very large works of ballet all around the world.
We strive for perfection and always, how can we make it better?
Here, everything I tell you to do, you must do. 48 hours to go, and I'm still telling you the story.
It's incredibly stressful for everyone involved. It's really hard and it's really busy.
So we've got a charming and I think quite important look at English folk dance, something we all have roots with, but actually most of us don't realise just how big a phenomenon it was.
You're watching the most amazing ancient tradition in here in the Northeast, which is called clog dancing. As you can see, for all the people around you, it's terribly good for you. It brings a smile to your face, some rhythm to your feet, and joy to your heart.
Good evening. I'm Herb Alpert.
I don't think of myself as the greatest trumpet player in the world. I just play me. That's the get-off. I mean, that's when you can really have fun.
He partnered up with the West Coast's #1 promotion man, Jerry Moss.
Before we did the album, most of the independent distributors said, why don't you guys just take the money and run?
Alpert and Moss became A&M Records.
He had that 2-track tape recorder, and I had a little desk in that garage. Voila, we were a record company.
Scream if you want to go faster.
Joe Brand is back in Getting On. We try to reflect the real world. We try and tell people the way the world works, but always understanding that there's a relationship between the absurd, the comic, and the human. Getting On is in that mould.
I understand that you prevented my doctor administering medication.
When you were about to lose a patient.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I haven't got an ID on that patient, and I don't know whether she's got any allergies.
Well, of course she hasn't got any allergies. Richard will have checked for allergies. What are you talking about? Richard, you did check for allergies, didn't you?
No.
Rubicon is a new American drama, part of BBC4's mission to bring the very best of international television acquisitions to the channel. It's mysterious, it's intelligent, it's smart, it's witty. It's exactly what we should be doing on the channel.
I think I found the pattern in the big ticket papers. 5 down. What do lucky lepidoptera larvae eat?
Answer Marsilia quadrifolia.
Which is?
Four-leaf clover. Our three branches of government are here. Legislative, executive, judicial. What or who does that fourth leaf represent?
BBC4 is the premier arts, music and culture channel out in the digital world. We're a channel which always seeks to assume our audiences want more. And we do that through a mix of programming, but also always through proposition, passion and purpose. Everything has to have a reason why we do it. There's always a sense of discourse going on between us, the channel, and our audience. And I think this autumn and winter's offerings are absolutely in that mould.
Wasn't that wonderful?